Forgot to set up the camera, and that's why I'm late on getting live. How are you guys doing? I am now live. Let's see whether or not the chat actually works. I've got it set up in a different window than I normally do, and I don't know if that logs me out of the correct chat. Is anyone here? I should probably check and see if this is even working. See, that's the problem. Could just be that everyone's being very silent, or that this doesn't actually work the way I think it does. I think it's that it's just very quiet. Alright, that works. Anyway, hi, how are you guys doing? I'm gonna go ahead and let the Discord know that I'm actually live now. There it is. Okay, cool. Now I know we're working. Alright, cool. Anyway, I'm gonna do some art. I downloaded a new Kevin MacLeod song, so I hope you guys enjoy. It's called Dreams Become Real. I don't have it in the description down below. I will fix that as soon as possible. But I just figured I'd download one real quick. I've just been really out of it recently. So anyway, here's some music. We're going to be doing this one again from, what was the name of the game? Witch Hunt. And then after I stream this for a couple hours until I run out of space on my card, I'm going to switch over to Wonder Wickets over on twitch.tv/RevScarecrow. Am I live? That is the question. I think I'm live. Looks like I am. Cool. Alright, cool. Let's go with this. Anyway, here's some music. Dreams Become Real by Kevin MacLeod. I listened to the first 3 seconds and I'm like, oh, that's pretty. Hopefully it doesn't get like or anything in a minute. But so continuing from where we left off, I'm just going to fix up some stuff right around here. This situation needs to be fixed up, and then I'm going to need to use some white to fix up some other bits. I'm a little bit concerned about using white paint to fix this, and I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go, but also I'm very much in the feeling that we should just try things and be wrong. So let's try being wrong for once. Huh. So I'm just gonna kind of white out some of this, and if I go light enough, it actually will still show the texture through, so it'll seem like I actually just did it right the first time. That's a little bit spooky, which I don't know if it's really the mood that I'm going for, but it was worth trying some new music. See how it goes. I need to write more music. I need to play guitar more often. I think about playing guitar about 8 times more than I actually play guitar. I think about being in bands and playing guitar and doing all that stuff, but I don't know. Maybe once things start going better, I can put more time into that. I think Vinny's live right now, which may explain a few things. Let me try tweeting out again real quick. So there we go. This is like super spooky music. I don't think that's what he was trying to do, but it's got like that dissonance that makes it spooks. Yeah, I don't know if I really like this one. This one's kind kind of weird. It seems like something I would write. Like, not very good. I expect better from this dude. But it is what it is. Alright, so that's done, so now we can move on to the rest of the thing. I'm going to try and eke in a little quick line here. See if I can do it without going gray. Not quite. But close enough. You get the idea. I think after I do this, either we'll do Wonder Wickets or I might just go have a day to just kind of take care of myself. I've been cooped up in the house quite a bit. It's not like a lot, but it just feels like a lot just because there's just nothing to go do, if that makes sense. Alright, so then this guy goes this way. So I think I've tried the YouTube Premiere thing on every one of the channels, and personally I feel like it helps out all of them. Like analytics-wise, it seems like they all do fairly well because of it. It's hard to tell at this point. I'm going to give it a little bit more time to let those seed and see how it works. But generally speaking, I don't really like doing it on any other channel other than this one, you know? Because on the highlights channel, I've got to do it while I'm actually out, just kind of having a day off. So then it kind of doesn't feel like a day off anymore. And I know that seems weird to say, but there's not a lot of point in it if I'm not there, I feel like. I feel like that's what makes it a thing. So. Am I live on the right channel? Yes. Okay. But, I guess that's enough about me. How are you guys doing? What are you guys up to? What projects are y'all working on? That's the other problem right here. This needs to be cut in some more. Or I bring that in more, but I think this is actually wide enough. And that's why that looks weird. So, I might try and expand that just a little bit. All of the water is very warm. It's because of the drought, or not drought, but the weird flooding, the opposite of a drought. And so we have to boil all our water, which means that it all Hey, Natalie. It all has to be boiled, which means it's all, like, really gross. And that's, I don't know. It just tastes different to me. I think I'm used to just a certain level of impurities and bacteria in my water. And when it's completely sterile, it's just bizarre and weird to me. I don't know how that makes any sense, but it does to me. Yeah. Also, I've had a lot of coffee today to make up for the fact that it's cold. I mean, it's cold as far as Texas is concerned, but for some reason it's absolutely frigid inside the house. Like, we had to turn up the thermostat for like the first time in a long time. We don't normally do that. Let's see. So, I think that's right. I need to get rid of this bumpy here. I can probably do that later, but oof. The problem is I've got some black paint right there as well, and so it's mixing, and I'd rather it didn't. So I think I need to stop fussing with this side and go over to the other side, and then come back to this. So, let me do that, and then that way I don't hate this. Because right now it's just mixing gray paint, and I don't want gray. I want white, and I want black, and I want no grays. It's gonna mean not working on, or not overworking certain areas. So, like that, and then there's like a curve right here for this line there. And that's actually down a little bit more. It's like this. And then it continues up from there, all like so. And there's some white lines going through it for where the light strikes the boards. It's something along those lines. And then we just want it to go straight up against it. So we'll probably come back in with some white and fix that later. That's roughly right. Alright, and then let's see. There's a line going straight down like that. Really don't want to touch the windows until I know where everything is. So I think I'm just gonna pencil this in real quick. I think it's about like that, and then kind of cut away a little bit because of a shadow there, and then there's a little bit of a on this side. So now that we kind of know where that is, we can kind of move on to the rest of it. And again, that's I think a little bit too steep actually. Yeah, it's a little bit more like that. And the doorway is parallel with these lines here. So that means that it goes up and it's about yay tall. So I think it's about so tall, maybe a little bit taller. Somewhere in that region anyway. And then comes back down. There's a small slit on one side for the doorway. It's like a double door. What projects have y'all been up to? I guess I should ask. I think I asked, but then I forgot to like check chat. I might have to clean up those edges a bit, but generally that's right. Let's see. Looks like there's something going wrong with YouTube in general right now. Like, my preview window keeps, like, stuttering and, loading. And I'm not sure if that's happening on y'all's end or not, or if I'm even technically live, because it's, like, super glitchy. That's not a good sign. Okay, that paint is still very much wet, so we can't touch it. We can go, like, we can go right along the edge, I guess. We should probably clean up those lines. Well, let's go ahead and... something along those lines. It's a little bit thinner than that. It's about twice as thick as that on the other side. You're live? Okay, cool. There's a significant amount of lag for some reason. But I guess I'll just deal with it? Don't know what else to say there. That's weird. YouTube seems to not be having a good day. Oop. Falling over myself. So, let's see. Is there anything I can do while I'm waiting for that paint to dry? It looks like I can pencil in this line here. And maybe scuff in this line here. The dry paint from last night looks exactly the same as the wet paint from right now, so I can't really tell what's I keep trying to pull paint from the pile that's completely dry, because I kind of left like in a rush. If you missed it, I ended up screwing up and streaming almost exactly when me and Mike had agreed to start the stream. I was streaming on this channel. Was when I started, which makes me a colossal jerk, but, you know, what are you gonna do? Can't really change the past, so. And Mike wasn't mad, but, like, all the more reason that I feel bad about it. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, because he's a nice guy, I don't like doing that kind of thing to him. Like, there's people that I've, like, kind of come up with, like, BS reasons on why I can't, like, show up for events and stuff, because I just kind of don't like the person, which is an awful thing to say, but, you know, they invited me, so I should at least respond, but it always felt like it was an obligation that they had to invite me. Like, they didn't actually wanna, or, like, I just didn't like them, but they liked me. Which is weird. But yeah. like in those situations, like if I kind of like walk away from those situations and like I kind of, you know, was mean to them, it's like, well, whatever, I don't like that guy anyway. But like Mike's cool. Mike's good people, so I feel bad about it when I do that kind of stuff to him. Okay, so I think that's about as thick as it needs to be. And then that needs to be sculpted off there. And this needs to be a little bit thinner, actually. I can't really do anything about it now because I just put in this paint. I can maybe try and get that paint a little bit more opaque because I don't want any of this gray to be showing through, but I might have to just go over in several coats. Just gonna let that be on the floor now. It's actually looking pretty good. And then that's going to be there, which means that I can kind of... I think I can eyeball where this is supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it in with white as well. And just make this entire area like that. So that way I don't have to worry about it. Because right here is just... I penciled in where that line needs to be, but now I know where that line is, so I don't really need it anymore. Like, I've got other context clues for it. And, so I'm just going to paint over it. It's a slightly different white, and it's bugging me. I don't think anyone would care, but I do. It's kind of like my litmus test for it is that, like, if I'm going to be painting something, for instance, like a bird or something, like, I want to know a lot about that bird and, like, how its legs move and stuff like that. Because then, if I end up doing a garbage drawing, like, I know it. Rather than something coming along, because there's this really famous case of this painting where it's all these guys on horseback riding their horses, right? And the weird thing about it is that they all have their hooves off the ground, which is like whatever, right? Horses do that, except for they don't. Like, in a full gallop, a horse never has his feet off, like all of his feet off the ground, unless if he's jumping over something. So it's like this person from medieval eras did not know how to, like, how horses ran. And it's like, so what, really? But like, I mean, now it's kind of a weird painting because everyone knows that about it, and they're like, huh, that's weird, isn't it? I mean, I don't know as if that they just hadn't seen enough horses, or if they were just, like, doing their best with what they saw, and maybe they just, like, had bad eyesight, or who knows, but, like, yeah, a horse has to have at least 2 of its feet on the ground at all times in order for it to run. And it runs like... If it's a gait, it's sort of like... the 2 feet are together, like the front left and the front and the back left are together. But if it's like a full run, then it's like do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. If that makes any sense. I don't think it does, but I'm going to keep talking as if it does because it fills time and it's something to talk about. But... Oh, hey, Medi, what's up? feeling a little bit sickish, so I'm gonna go for as long as I can, and then when I start feeling real bad, I might stop. I need to get this painting done because I do have, you know, Patreons that have paid for me to do this art, so I need to make sure that I do one thing of art every week, because that's what I've promised. But I need to get at least some of it done today. I guess I could stop whenever, but you know, I would personally feel better if I finished off a decent chunk of this today, because I feel like it's super close to being done. Like, I know we've only put 1 hour into it. This is a really, like, straightforward painting in a lot of ways, and it's not about, like, the number of strokes, it's like where those strokes are placed. I think that's something that beginners have an issue with, is that they think that if they keep working on something, it gets better. But sometimes, like, you just need to put enough paint down that the canvas makes cohesive sense and is good. So I almost feel like this might need to go out a little bit farther. But I measured it out with my... I measured it out, and this is right. So that paint's still wet. Can I do anything up here? I can try and use the knife. And see if this works. Someone recommended this as a way to get those lines in. I'm a little bit worried just because this is not a method I like using as much. Okay, so, and this should get us a nice level line. Yes, but it's a little bit too thick right at the start, so I actually can control this a little bit better than I do. So let's just clean it off and then... We got some wet paint right there. I shouldn't be touching that. Jeez, everything is wet. Okay. I can do at least the branches then. Like, I'm really limited on what I can actually paint right now because there's only so much of the canvas that actually needs working. And so I work a little bit at it, and now it's wet, and so now I can't touch it. Aggravating, but, you know, it is what it is. So. Alright, so from up here, is this acrylic? It is indeed. I prefer acrylic just because it dries faster, so all of these problems I'm complaining about will actually sort themselves out here in, you know, less than a few minutes, which is a work speed that's probably a little too fast for, like, people who are new, and people who are new like to, you know, be able to continue to mess with the paint or take the paint off if it's wrong. But I personally have always hated that. Like, I would rather paint over rather than trying to mix new paint. I don't know why people recommend oil over acrylic. I feel like acrylic is so much easier. You just have to, like, I don't know, go with it. Like, accept that you're gonna have to wait less. Like, you have to move at a semi-decent clip in order for it to actually work out in your favor. So, I don't know. I might paint the edges on this one. At least on the sides where it's, like, totally black. Like, you know, there. But normally I don't like to. There's one painting that I did, and I forget what I named him. It's the red and yellow, like, Hermes-style skull. and I painted the edges yellow on that one just for the sake of like trying something different, and then it looks okay, but all the sides on that were the same color, so I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna look if part of the edge is white versus part of the edge is black. Alright, so let's just comb this in. Tree branches I've always had a considerable amount of trouble with, just because I can't keep track of which branches I've done. There's so much detail. So I guess I need to treat them less as like a precision, like make sure you get all the things down, but more treated as like a general, like there were branches here sort of painting style. But again, that goes back to what I was saying about birds and accuracy there. Like, trees are weird and I don't understand them. Like, I'll be honest with you. Have you ever looked at a tree and realized that it's like a living actual thing? That weirds me out. They're massive, you know? I mean, not the ones in Texas, because there's not enough water for them to get big, but, you know, theoretically, they're large, right? That's what trees are known for. Otherwise, it's a bush. Yeah, I really hate these branches. They're gonna be a total pain, aren't they? Alright, well, let's get the main branch in. Let's at least fix that. Because there's this branch that goes all the way down to, like... There's the first click. Alright. So now, I'll put this dude in. So that means that we're 30 minutes or so into the stream. Is anyone actually still doing Inktober? Like, we're almost at the end of it, so like, if you're still doing it, you're in the home stretch. You almost got this, you know. Like I said in the video, I just can't stand to do it myself because I've got too many commitments to keep track of and all that. Like, I want to make sure that I stream for my Twitch subs. I want to make sure that I, you know, complete art videos for my Patreon subs, patrons, whatever name thing. But I don't want to like try and do some other task that is antecedent to any of that, unless if I really, really, really wanna. And with Inktober, it's like, not really. Like, I don't really have anything to prove as far as like making sure I do art. Like, I do art for myself, and then incidentally people will come by and watch it. And, you know, as long as I'm making the art that I promise I'll make, the workflow is complete, then I've done what I promised. But as far as, like, trying to make, I don't know, art that XYZ person will specifically like, or to impress people with XYZ skill, it's like, no, I just don't care. I'm old enough now that I just don't really care. I never was in, I think it's because I was not in high school, and caring about what other people thought was never something that was particularly necessary for me to survive, and it makes me a slight bit awkward because people expect that I care about that, or that I should care about that. Like the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, I feel like that's something that people do. I'll sell like an Xbox One X to someone at work, and it's a way for them to show off how much money they've got. But like, I don't know. Tilda was pointing out that she doesn't want to put plates on our registry for the wedding. And she pointed out that she doesn't really care if the plates and the mugs and all of that we've got match. And I agreed, because I think anyone who comes over to eat at our house, if they care, we probably wouldn't have invited them in the first place, you know? Like, literally, what's the point in impressing people who need us to have matching plates? And there's certain stuff that, like, I don't know. I had a friend who came over once, and I said I only had one wine glass, and they said, "Oh, that's depressing." That's not something I really thought about, but I guess it is. So I went out and bought more, because that implies that you're only going to be drinking wine alone, in which case, why do you even have a bottle? Like, why do you even have a glass? Why not just drink straight from the bottle? So, in that case, I'm like, yeah, that's a good point, you know? It says something about what I expect my time to be like. Now, this is before me and Tilda were dating, so truthfully, the only time I ever would drink wine would be by myself, or when one of my friends who would come over and they would bring their own wine glass, or, you know, whatever. But they generally bought much more expensive, much nicer wine than I would. I haven't had wine in a couple of years, I don't think, just because it's expensive, to be honest with you. And I don't really like the taste. And I'm not really about that life. Like, if I'm going to spend $20 or $30 on something, I better enjoy it. And a decent glass of wine, good wine, is going to be at least $20, $30 bucks. Theoretically. Though I've had some cheap wine that was as good as some $20, $30 wine, so, you know, whatever. Maybe all those wine snobs don't know what they're talking about. Is this wet? Yeah. It's still a little bit tacky, so... Generally found that trying to depend on external validation is not good for you. And anytime that I start to slip into that, like, depression slips in a lot more, because things that are important to you or things that are difficult for you may not be important or difficult to other people. Which means that you're trying to impress someone who doesn't exist. Which means that you're not going to impress them because they don't exist in the first place. And that's a really annoying spot on my canvas now. Yeah, we'll have to clean that up in a minute. That's more or less dry now. Dry enough that we could put in the large black stripe that's supposed to be there. That really kind of makes this whole thing pop. This is one of the more important lines in this piece. So it's like there's that tiny little part, and then it goes down like this, right? And I just need to have like a straight hand as I bring it down, which does not appear to be something I have today. That line thick enough? Yes. Okay, so I just need to like add more paint to it, but that's the right line. So I'm gonna have to go down as well, or down to up, rather than just up to down, because I don't have enough paint on my brush here in order to get that going. I don't know how it's looking on y'all's end, because I don't have the screen where I can see it. I've just got the chat open. Which is weird, because with the pop-out chat, it doesn't actually say how many people are here, or if anyone's active, or if I'm even live, which is a weird combination of things to have to worry about. So, okay, there's still white paint there, so that's just as annoying as can possibly be. And I'm going to continue to complain about it, and then continue to paint regardless, because not a lot I can do about that. If I paint with thick enough black paint, it shouldn't be something I have to worry about. Okay, well, there's that. It's not perfect, but I can fix it. I'm gonna have to... that line's not right, even though that line's not pure black, we can fix it later, and we're gonna have to fix it later. First thing you think of when you see this is Holy Diver. I'm getting like it's got a very like second wave black metal vibe. Like, it's not on fire. If it was actual second wave black metal, this whole church would be on fire, because that's how you do second wave black metal. But, you know. I had this really weird situation the other day I'm going to talk about. There's this guy that I used to be friends with, and then he ended up being kind of a jerk to me. He ended up, I had some jokes and some like music and stuff like that that I had as far as ideas, and he ended up running with it and then taking the credit for it, which was kind of a jerk thing to do, right? Anyway, I basically broke all ties with him after that point. And, you know, he got confused and he was like, what? Are we not friends anymore? I'm like, yeah, no, we're not. And then I just haven't spoken to him in like years, right? So he messages me the other day out of the blue, right? I don't even know how or why. And he's like, hey, man. And I'm like, hey. Because, like, what do you say to that, right? like someone that like you left on really bad terms with, and have no reason or will to like reconnect with them, but they're like messaging you. He's like, hey, I was thinking about sending you like Christmas stuff. And like literally the last conversation I had with him was like, I don't like you. And I don't think that's ever going to change. Because you're unremorseful for your actions. Which was the opportunity for him to be remorseful for his actions. And then he opted not to be. And so it's like, I don't want it. And so rather than saying that, I was just like, why? Why do you want to send me something? Like, why after years of, you know, messing with me and not, you know, communicating with me, after I've told you I don't like you, why are you messaging me now? Where is this coming from? It's super bizarre. And he didn't respond back to me just saying why, because I didn't go into all that. I was just sort of like... Maybe he's trying to say sorry indirectly. He's not... I don't know. Maybe? Social grace is not really his strong suit, hence why he was kind of a jerk and a thief in the first place. I think he thinks everything's fine, and then we just haven't spoken because people live busy lives, and it's like, no, I've actively avoided you for like years. Why are you back? Like, I'm in the opinion that, you know, forgive those who seek forgiveness, you know? But if they're not sorry, I'm not going to forgive them. Because that just means that they're willing and able to do it again, because they don't see what the problem was in the first place. So, also, people are talking about, what's the name of the game? Faith? It's a horror game. I think I've seen that. Yeah, you're talking about the one that looks like Atari graphics, and I recall seeing that one and just doing nothing with it. Like, I intended to stream it like a year or two ago, but then I was like, well, I don't know, what is this bringing that I couldn't just get from another game? And then I found another game every year. Outside of the Atari graphics, like, not much. That doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that, like, I didn't see the value in it. But that, I guess there is, because people are asking for it in chat. So, starting an awkward conversation about Christmas might be his way of apologizing, and maybe, I mean, like, but the thing is that, like, he always had the mentality that, like, if he did something for me, then I'd owe him in return, right? And so if I owe him, I don't want to owe him, you know? I don't know what that means to him right now. I don't know what he wants. It comes very much at the cost of, like, he wants something from me. 'Cause that's really the only reason he ever messages me now. Help him move, or help him do such and such. The only reason he'll message me is if he needs something. It's like, what do you think that I've got that you want? It's entirely possible that he's trying to make recompense and trying to apologize. I'm just incredibly suspicious of this individual. It's really bizarre. And I'm not a fan of it because it means that something's up. Like, something's going on in his world that he needs me. And I've decided that it's best to just keep my distance and stay away from him and not think about him. Because anytime he comes into my life, things go bad. Anytime he's brought up, anytime he's any bit involved in my life, no matter how, like, far off it happens to be. Because we used to be real close, which is sad. You know, we used to be basically best friends. And, if anyone ever brings him up, I'm like, But I can't really say anything because with the groups of people that I know, he's still got some respect, so it's like, that just makes me look like a jerk. He probably just wants me to help him move again. On a lighter note, is there a plan for that upper white space right here? I'm going to put another branch coming in over there. And yeah, sorry, I should probably not be such a Debbie Downer. But it's something that's been, like, sitting in the back of my mind. Like, what's going on with that dude? And for lack of anything better to talk about, I decided to bring up some weird, awkward thing that happened in my life. Which is probably not for the best, but... bit of rev lore there for you. I've had to deal with some really garbage human beings, and so it means that I have to be very, very suspicious of new people trying to enter my life, because some of those people aren't there for the best reasons. They see something that I can give them, and then I become a thing that's giving rather than a person. And never treat someone as an ends to a mean. It should always be the ends to the mean themselves, you know? They are a means in of themselves. Should be treated with, like, that level of respect. You know, friends are mercenaries that you pay with love and affection, and if you don't pay, don't expect the mercenaries to stay. Alright, so I'm gonna have to fix that in a minute. It's still not good, but it's fixable. Let's get these branches in, because you were mentioning in that corner I oughta. I think it's just something that happens to artists. Like, if you're an artist or a musician, like, you're gonna run into someone who goes, oh wow, you can do such and such? Hey, I really need to have such and such for this other project that I'm working on. And in my more gullible days, I was like, yeah, sure, man. Because we're friends. Hey, thanks, Luigi. It's coming along, I think. new Kevin MacLeod song I downloaded is not really the kind of jam that I want for this channel. It's like, it's a jam, but I need more ethereal, weird stuff like this. Like, I've started to, like, know how this song goes, which is a bad sign, because I know it, then you guys probably know. Very much hope that when someone comes up to me and they want something, when they talk to me, it's literally just because they want to have a conversation or they want to be better friends with me, not for the benefits that it provides outside of, you know, just, I think I'm a neat dude, but just that, you know, and nothing more. But I find that some people are not like that, which is sad. But I was telling someone the other day that I think that I've discovered that if you really want to know how someone is or who someone truly is, you need to figure out what their view of the world is, and then as a reaction, what is their place in that world that they've sculpted, you know, what they say the world is like, you know? If they believe that the world is full of evil, dishonest people, and that the only way to get by in the world is to be evil and dishonest, don't be friends with that guy, is what I'm trying to say. However, if you see someone who believes that the world is, branches are really irregular and weird, and I'm not a good person to ask about how to paint branches, to be honest with you. I don't feel like these are going terribly well. Like, these are over here are okay, but they're a little bit formulaic, like you can see a pattern in them, and I'm not a fan of that. I think if someone sees that the world is full of evil, nasty people, and that the only reaction is therefore to be as good of an honest person as you can be, then that's a good person to be friends with. And someone who probably needs a little bit more love, you know? Because the world hasn't treated them right, you know? It's just a thought that I had the other day, and I think I might have read that thing at some point. That, like... It's also a continuation of, like, the, see how people treat people they don't have to treat well? Children, dogs, waiters, waitresses. Because if they don't have to treat them right, if there's no advantage, like they don't get anything out of it, then they're showing off who they are as a real person. As soon as you don't become valuable to them, that's how they're going to treat you. So the people who are kind to people that they don't need to be kind to, those are good people. The other approach is just to prove they have nothing to offer. I guess? I mean, that's why I make the rule that, like, friends pay double if they want art from me, because that's what a friendly person would do. And I say that up front. And if someone has a problem with that, they're probably just trying to be my friend so that way they could get free art. That's what a friend discount would be for me. I think once I finish off these branches, I should be able to continue on into the church a bit more. I guess it's like also about how much paint you load onto the canvas. Like whenever you start a branch, because a branch is never going to be thicker. Like right here, I have an issue with it. A branch is never going to be thicker later down on the branch than it is at the start. And I'm okay with there being some white gaps because, like, maybe it's the way that the light is hitting the branch where it appears that there's not a branch there. With the way that this is styled, that makes sense and that works, you know? When would you say that an art project you could turn into a more of a hassle than to finish than a joy? I try and finish my work before it becomes too much of a hassle. I try and set reasonable expectations for what I can do as an artist. Because if you try and push yourself too hard, or if you do something that isn't reasonable for your level or reasonable just for a human being to pull off, that's just going to make you upset and you're not going to do good art. And that's no good. Okay, that's still wet. This side I think is probably dry, so we can mess with this, and then while we're done messing with that, then we can move on to the other side. So what are the things that we need to do here? Okay, so there's a line going up right there. And then almost on exactly the opposite side, there's a bit more white right here. The door is still wet. It's getting paint on my hand, so I need to be careful of that. When that point is, I try and like sculpt out where that point is way in advance of starting. And it just becomes second nature at this point for me to like just know like it's gonna stop here because I know myself and I know I'm gonna hate myself if I try and push it any farther than that. Some wet paint right here. Yep, some wet paint right there. Just try and get it flattened out. Okay. I'll have to fix that later as well. I've talked about photorealism in the past, and it's not that I feel like it's uncreative, because with photorealism you need to make sure that you're doing stuff like I feel it's a much more technical style, and because of that I feel like it's a lot more boring. Like you gotta make sure that you have everything set up right in the beginning, and then from there you can do a good work. But I don't tend towards photorealism. I have a background in it, and I think it shows off in a lot of the stuff that I do. But I try and like make it more stylized, just because I think I would go like insane. I think it's redundant to do things photorealistically. I feel like it's an intellectual dead end to paint something exactly as the world has created it. There are exceptions. Obviously, if it's something that you've created out of your imagination, for instance, like a dragon or something mythological that isn't a real thing, then there's something to that. But if I could just bust out my camera and take that picture, then why did you go through the trouble of learning how to paint if you could just literally bust out an iPhone and achieve the same effect in seconds? It's a neat party trick, but now what? You know? And I know a lot of people hate that I see it that way, but I just don't get it. I don't get why you would go through the work. I don't think it's uncreative or anything like that. I just feel like you could literally be doing anything else. Like you could be so... Oh, God. I think the church isn't wide enough. Like, this is fine, but I feel like this needs to be brought out by another, like, maybe inch or so. Ooh, boy. Okay. And I think that's true on both sides. Maybe. Yeah, it's about the same size on both sides, so I could call it like that, but it doesn't look right, right? No, it's good. I like hearing questions from chat. I don't think you're striving to take art seriously anymore if you're striving to take art seriously. Like, I think you've achieved that goal because now you're taking art seriously. Alright, so I'm gonna have to use more white paint, so we might have to call it for the day prematurely, just because the amount of white paint that I'm about to lay down is gonna need a while to dry, but I feel like it actually needs to go out a little bit farther in this direction. Like so. How's the water issue going in Austin? It's still ongoing. They're asking for people to conserve water, so that's been a slight annoyance, but I mean, the thing is, you're like, the water is all undrinkable. You have to boil it before you use it, right? So what's the next logical step? You go out and buy yourself some water, right? Or alternatively, you fill up a bunch of jugs of water in your house with water that you boiled, right? So that way you can just have water on demand like you're used to. Because you know it's clean. You can drink it. You can just drink it as if it were straight from the tap. Because it's kind of an ordeal, and then you want it to be cold and not just like scalding hot. Right? And so now there's a water shortage because everyone did that. It's just like, well, and they're like, guys, please use less water. And it's like, well, how about you have a functioning infrastructure? Like, I don't know, just throwing it out there. I mean, thank you for alerting us. The alert didn't go out until very late, unless if you worked in an office space where it was, you know, automatically broadcasted to you. But, like, if you were depending on the city of Austin to actually send you that, you didn't get that message until, like, 5 or 6 in the day. Hey, Hunky Dory, how you doing? Yeah, you'd think that they would have alerted us very quickly about it, but I found out about it because my mom knew. And my mom doesn't live in Austin, so it's just like, you know, okay, great. But her office is in Austin, and so she finds out about stuff that's relevant to Austin because, you know, it comes through on the wire. So like, we woke up knowing about it, but yeah, kind of a problem that the city of Austin needs to fix. So now if I extend this out to here, is that gonna fix things? I believe so. The water shortage they let people know about fairly immediately. I mean, like, that you need to stop using as much water. And I guess some people were alerted because, like, HEB was out of water at 6 a.m. So I don't really know how they found out, but I didn't see anything public from the state until, like, much later in the day. So I really don't know what the avenues of finding out about this water crisis were. It's more of a annoyance than anything else. That's something I'm gonna have to paint over, but I'll be able to fix it. Yeah, I keep thinking about Flint, Michigan. And their stuff's still not fixed, right? Like, ours is just like, it's rained a lot because global warming and all that. And so that's been causing some issues as far as, like, the infrastructure because it's not set up to handle that. But it happens, I guess. Like, I don't think that they've fixed Flint, Michigan yet, right? Like, I haven't heard anything like, oh, the pipes have been fixed. It's like, just everyone kind of moved on because there were other horrible crises happening, and so we just kind of stopped paying attention to that. But, like, whenever I hear about it, it's like, yeah, that's still broken. They still haven't fixed that. And it's just like, well, that's messed up. Like, a minor annoyance for me, like, I can use the water to take a shower or whatever here, but, like, they can't. It's not safe. They still have a couple years before the infrastructure's fixed. Yeah, it needs to go on quite a bit more. I'm just gonna make sure I've got the lines right for where I want it to be. Part of what made this painting good is that the lines in the white is super crisp. But now that it's starting to get a little less crisp, it's starting to not work for me as much, I think. Just having a bad painting day too. That happens. It happens to me every now and then where it's just like, this is not going the way I intended or the way I wanted, and now I can't fix it, so what's going wrong? Can I fix this? And eventually after a while I realize that I just need to like give up for the day, and I think I'm kind of hitting that point. Well, good, Snazzy Snake. I'm glad you're voting. It's definitely important this year to vote, as I've said the last couple of streams, that whether or not you want things to stay the same or if you want things to change, if you want them to, you know, be the way you want, people are coming out in droves to vote, and so you best have your opinion marked. Alright, well, I think I'm just going to angle that off, and I might call it a day here. I'm kind of not feeling great, and I'm not having a great painting day, so I might have to skip doing 2 streams today. Or I'd planned on doing Wonder Wickets after this, but kind of feeling a bit off, so maybe I skip that today. I don't know. I think this is too far. I think I brought it out too far. Also, the music stopped, which is weird and awkward feeling. I'm sorry, Mal. Okay, so this side actually needs to appear smaller than the other side because this is actually the thing. So yeah, that's huge in comparison. So it needs to be closer to that, which means that everything I just added is wrong up to this point. I mean, that's really what it's about. As long as I'm making a little bit of progress in my art, it's fine. Crap ton of black and try and get this washed out to the point that you can't tell that I made that mistake. Try and fix it up a bit so that way next time I come down to sit down, do some painting, I don't have to worry about this issue. I might still have to worry about it some just because the paint's too wet right now for me to fix it, but I see the problem. I say I'm gonna stop, and then I keep working. I don't know what I'm doing. Make a little note about the problem so you don't forget. I think I'm fixing it, so I think it's okay. But okay, so that side's fine. Might as well try and clean this off right here. This needs to be leveled out. Going to be more or less even, right? So that means that that's right. It looks weird. Name something completely random, just something random. There's a lot of like inspiration bot might be a really good choice for you for something like that. If you're looking for something random to come up with an idea for a painting or something, I would highly recommend inspiration bot for that. Yeah, I think I had kind of a crummy painting day. It's I think it's a fixable thing at this point. Like, I'll need to paint that white, and I'll need to paint this black. And it's just something that's going to take a couple hours to do. Just to let things dry, which is super annoying. I hate that. Because the white I get out of the tube is not the same white as the canvas. It's like blue in comparison to the white of the canvas, which was actually more white to tan. I don't know. What I'm looking at is that this should be bigger because this black line right here is just the shadow of the steeple itself coming out. So it's this black line here should be the same length. So that should be that. And it's about even. It looks a little bit like this side's shorter, but it's supposed to, I think. I don't know. I'll probably do a layer or two of white off camera. I might finish this guy off camera, or, you know, off stream. And we'll see. I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna go and call it for the day. Thank you guys for coming by. was about to run out of battery anyway, so, well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed, Captain. I'm gonna try and keep it up for the next little bit and try and finish off the 4,000 hours before the end of the month, which means that right now I'm sitting at 3.3. I don't get much from any individual videos that I put out, but for streams I get quite a bit, so for maximum effectiveness, I'm gonna have to do about one stream is 1 hour's worth of, or yeah, 1 hour's worth of video. So anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for watching. Patreon, if you want to support this and other artsy sort of things I do, patreon.com/RevScarecrow. If you want to check me doing streams, it'll be here on this channel or on twitch.tv/RevScarecrow. Every now and then I'll do a video that goes live via like the Premiere system, but that's not really a stream, and I'll try and actually be in chat for those. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.